Okay, so we want to take a look at a problem dealing with a swimming pool. I apologize for my artwork. I'm not the best artist or have the best handwriting. We'll find that out as we go. But the dimensions on the swimming pool that we're given is the length of it is going to be x plus 1, the width is going to be x, and then the height is going to be 4. That's from the picture that we're given in the problem. If the numbers are different in another problem, you can still handle it the same way. You'll just have to relabel. When we talk about the volume of a pool that's a rectangle shape, then the volume is going to be length times width times height. Okay, whenever you're dealing with a rectangle or rectangular prism, you can always find the volume by length times width times height. So now we just have to take a look at what our length, width, and height are. And I mentioned earlier from the picture, we have a length of x plus 1, a width of x, and then a height of 4. Since this is our volume, the problem that we have says that the volume is 900. So we can set this volume of length times width times height equal to 900. And then we can multiply through and try to solve this equation to figure out what is our x, our missing length and width. And so we multiply the x through to get x squared plus x, and then we multiply the 4 through to get 4x squared plus 4x is equal to our volume of 900. So at this point we need to get everything onto the left-hand side, so we want to bring the 900 over, get it equal to 0, so that we can solve this using the quadratic formula here in a second. So we get 4x squared plus 4x equals 900. That's what we had just a second ago. And then we subtract 900 from both sides, minus 900, which gives us, on the left, 4x squared plus 4x minus 900 is equal to 0. Okay, so now we can simplify a little bit, factor out of 4, because all the coefficients, 4x squared plus 4x minus 900, they can all be evenly divided by 4. So I'm going to factor out of 4, pull it out of everything. I get x squared plus x minus 225. 900 divided by 4 gives me the 225, and that still equals 0. So we factored out the 4 to make our work a little bit easier at this point. Now what we want to do is we want to use the quadratic formula. We want to use the quadratic formula on that portion that we have the x squared plus x minus 225. This gives us the solutions that we can get to this equation, so it's going to tell us what the dimensions of our pool are. So our A is 1, B is 1, and C is negative 225, and those come from the coefficients in each of the 3 spots, the number in front of the x squared, the number in front of the x, and then the constant term, minus 225 at the end. Just in case, I'll remind you about the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula, if you have an equation that's quadratic, you can get the solutions by taking negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2 times the a. Okay, so this will, once we plug in our a, b, and c and then simplify it, put it in our calculator, that will give us the possible solutions. The plus and minus represents the 2 possible solutions, so we're actually going to have 2 possible answers. We'll have to check them once we get there and see which ones are actually valid, but that will give us the 2 solutions for this equation that will give us the dimensions of the pool. Remember, our A was 1, our B was 1, and our C was negative 225. So I want to take that and plug it into the quadratic formula. We had negative b, which was 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which was 1, and then squared, minus 4 times the a times the c, which was negative 225, and then all of that is going to be over 2 times the a, which was 1. And now we just do a little bit of simplifying. We have negative 1 at first, plus or minus square root. 1 squared is 1. Negative 4 times negative 225 is going to be a positive 900, and then it's all over 2 times 1, which is 2. Of course, under the square root, that's going to give us 901, and then all over 2. So now we can put this into our calculator and figure out what the 2 possible solutions are. We're going to have 1 with the negative 1 plus the square root of 901 over 2, and then a second one with -1 minus the square root of 901 over 2. So we put those in our calculator. -1 plus 900, the square root of 901 over 2. That's going to give us from the calculator about 14.5083, rounded to 4 decimal places. And so that's one possible dimension for the x. The second one is using the minus in the middle, so -1 minus square root of 901 over 2. That's going to give us a negative 15.5083 feet. Now the problem with the second one is that we have a negative, and when we're talking about a length, talking about a negative length, that really doesn't make any sense, so that solution isn't valid. So we really only have one possible solution for this, and that's when our x, which was our width of the pool, is equal to what we just found. So if we want a volume of 900, it's very specific for this problem. If we want a volume of 900 cubic feet, then our x value has to be 14.5083 feet, rounded to the nearest 4th decimal place, which tells us that the other one, the length that we had, was 1 extra foot, so 15.5083 feet. So those two are our dimensions for our length and width of the swimming pool. Part B asks about the volume of the water and how much it weighs. So it tells us that 1 cubic foot of water in our swimming pool is going to weigh about 62.4 pounds. So each cubic foot of water is going to weigh about 62.4 pounds, and we have 900 cubic feet. So we're going to multiply the 900 cubic feet by the 62.4 pounds, and our calculator is going to give us 56,160 pounds. Okay, so 56,160 pounds is how much weight the water is with a full 900 cubic feet, according to the approximation that the problem gives us. Part C now asks about a water pump that's filling the swimming pool. So the pump that it gives us tells that we are filling at 5 gallons per minute. So it's pumping water into the pool at 5 gallons per minute. We need to know how long it's going to take to fill the whole pool up. Now the pool dimensions and the volume tell us that we have 900 cubic feet. It doesn't give us our measurements in gallons, doesn't tell us how many gallons are in there. So first thing we're going to have to figure out is how many gallons, and then we can figure out how long it takes in minutes, and then we'll have to figure out how long is that in hours. So the question overall is how long is it going to take to fill the pool with this pump, and it tells us that 1 gallon of water is about, let's see, what was it, 0.13368 cubic feet. Yeah, 0.13368 cubic feet. And so we're going to use this to figure out how many gallons are actually in our pool. So that's the first question, is to figure out with 900 cubic feet how many gallons is that going to be. I'm going to set up a proportion to figure that out and then solve the proportion. So in our swimming pool we have 900 cubic feet of water, and we want to know how many gallons. So I'm going to say that's x. X gallons is to 900 cubic feet, as 1 gallon. 1 gallon is to the 0.13368 cubic feet. Okay, so the proportion I have set up is x gallons over 900 cubic feet is equal to 1 gallon over 0.13368 cubic feet. All we've got to do is multiply the 900 over, 900 times 1 on top, that's going to be 900. We divide that by 0.13368, and then our calculator, after we put that in, is going to tell us that we have about 6,732.495512 gallons. We probably don't need all those decimal places, but I'm going to go ahead and use them just so our answer is as close as we can get. So that tells us our first question, how many gallons are actually in the swimming pool. We end up with about the 6,732.5 gallons. So we know that part now. The first question is answered. So now we have gallons instead of the cubic feet, which is good because our pump is pumping in at 5 gallons per minute. So now the second question we can take a look at is to see, well, how many minutes is it going to take? If it's pouring in 5 gallons per minute and we have the 6,732.5 gallons, how long is it going to take in minutes? Once we figure that out, then we can just convert to hours and we'll be finished with the problem. So how long then does it take for the pump to fill the swimming pool? So we can do that by taking the 6,732.495512 gallons and dividing it by 5 because it fills at 5 gallons per minute. And so we can take that number divided by 5 in our calculator, and when we do, that's going to give us about 1,346.499102. Again, I'll use as many decimal places as my calculator gives me here to keep it as close as possible. So it tells us that it's going to take a little over 1,300 minutes, and then finally we can get to the point where we do it in hours because that's the units our problem is asking for. So we just take those minutes and divide it by 60 because there are 60 minutes in an hour. And once we do that, we take the 1,346.499102 divided by 60. We're going to get about 22.4417 if we round it 4 decimal places. But now I just looked at the problem and it says it wants to round it to 1 decimal place, so we'll round it at the 4. So I would say 22.4 hours. Okay, so to fill the pool up, filling at 5 gallons per minute, it would take about 22.5 hours almost to fill it up. I hope this helps. Once again, I apologize for the messiness. I did this in a hurry on my tablet. I hope that it all looks good, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.